What's up everybody, I'm Sean and thank you for joining me for another review. Continuing on with the Orient Revival series, we have what is probably my favorite model in the lineup. To recap, the Orient Revival series is Orient's 70th anniversary tribute, where some of Orient's most iconic models are being reissued with a modern twist. Today we have a tribute to the original Orient Star Retro Future Camera, appropriately named the Orient Retro Future Camera. This piece was kindly provided by Big Time Singapore for this review. But before we go any further, let's first do a wristwatch check, and today I am wearing the G-Shock Casio, and this is not just any other ordinary Casio, this is the new solar powered and Bluetooth version that just came out, and I want another one. But back to the review. Let's just get the specs out of the way first before we move on to the actual review. So this watch, it comes in a case size of 40.8mm, which gives it a lug-to-lug distance of 46mm. We have a lug width of 20mm and it is 12.6mm thick. It is a stainless steel case with a slightly domed mineral crystal and a very interesting case back which we will talk about later. Inside it, we have the F6S22 movement. It's an automatic movement that hacks and hand winds, and a power reserve of 40 hours. Minimal water resistance of 50 meters, and a recommended retail price of 599 Singapore dollars. So although this model falls under the Orient branding, the original was actually branded under the Orient Star line. First introduced in the early 2000s, this watch represented some of what Orient is so well known for, which is their quirky and daring designs. Taking the same design cues of classic 1950s rangefinder cameras, the 70th anniversary tribute does a very good job recreating the look of the original, despite omitting some of the key features such as a power reserve indicator, which is now uniquely reserved for Orient Star models only. This time, Orient even went a bit further and updated the design with a few new design elements which we will talk about later. This series comes in 4 colors: an original stainless steel case with a black dial on a stainless steel bracelet, a matte dark grey case with either a green or a brown dial on a leather NATO strap, and a limited edition bronze case with Orient's signature Jaguar focus dial, which also comes on a leather NATO strap. Today, I am lucky to have the limited edition model with me because I honestly think this is the best looking one of the series. This watch wears very well on my 6.25-inch wrist, which is largely due to the very short lugs on this watch. The lug-to-lug width is 46mm, which is pretty short for a 40.8mm case compared to what other brands tend to use. It is a bit on the thick side at 12.6mm however, but it's not something that I would consider unwieldy. Like the original, this is a pretty chunky looking case that reminds me quite a bit of my Orient Defender 2 that I reviewed a while back. Its design is simple with no elaborate contours and is fully straight brushed apart from the areas between the lugs and the underside of the case. Oh, and it has drilled lugs! Hooray! The flat note crown is signed and interestingly features a crown guard on only the top portion of it. Now these are supposed to mimic the rewind knob and square top of a camera cover. They are bronze plated just like the rest of the case, which I think really adds to the retro feel of the watch. On the back we have a polished case back, but this isn't just any ordinary case back. Like I mentioned earlier, while the original featured a standard exhibition case back, these now have a special viewfinder style open heart caseback. This viewfinder caseback is placed perfectly in line with the open heart window on the front that literally allows you to see right through the watch. Much of it will be blocked though, should you choose to go with the leather NATO strap that comes with 3 out of the 4 models. Still a pretty cool feature nonetheless. On the top, we have a dark brown knurled bezel with a finely brushed aluminium insert. 5-minute intervals are also printed on it, along with these R symbols or inverted L symbols, which you will usually find on old rangefinder cameras. The bezel is also unidirectional, unlike some of the other Revival series models. There is a bit of backplay, but it is pretty minimal and let's face it, you really aren't going to bring this watch diving anyway. To top it off, we have a very slightly domed mineral crystal. Now comes one of the most interesting parts about this watch, the dial. The main attraction here is the camera shutter style design that is precisely machined into the dial and finished off in a beautiful Jaguar focus colorway. There are also 4 slim slot cutouts around the edge of the dial that just ever so slightly cut underneath the rectangular applied markers. These slots, along with the open heart window, reveal the movement running behind it. Now, the main difference from the original is the lack of a power reserve indicator, which is a feature that's now exclusively reserved for Orient stars. In its place, we have an applied Orient crest and a printed white text that reads automatic. Also printed in white around the small second subdial are the only numerals that you would find on this face. These come in increments of 10, with the 0 conveniently covered by the axle of the hour and minute hands. The hands are all color matched to the gold dial and very reminiscent of the original, with the exception of the hour hand that gets pointed instead of a straight end. Finally, we do have some lume applied to each of the rectangle hour markers as well as on the minute and hour hands. While it isn't going to knock your socks off, it is quite usable for a watch that wasn't really intended for rugged use. Now inside, we have the caliber F6S22 movement, yet another variant of Orient's 46 F6 family of movements. As always with Orient, this is an excellent movement for the price, and it hacks, hand winds, and is lightly decorated for the sake of the open heart display. While the winding of the crown isn't as smooth as some of the other Orients, Orient stars, or ETA movements, there is certainly nothing wrong with it. The only issue that I really encountered was the crown being a bit harder to pull out than I am used to, especially if you don't have long enough nails that are able to slide behind it. At 3Hz, this is not the highest bitrate movement around, if that matters to you, but if it doesn't, it is an excellent value that you are getting here. This unit I have is keeping decent time, well within the stated accuracy at around plus 12 to 15 seconds per day. The provided strap for this model is another new addition to the line. Unlike the original, which came with a stainless steel bracelet, we get a NATO style leather strap this time. Not just any other plain leather though, this one was specially chosen to mimic the leather straps and holsters that were found on the old rangefinder cameras. The hardware is also bronze plated to perfectly match the case. This is one of those small things that I really like about Orient, because even at this price point, they still take the effort to color match the hardware to the different finishes of their cases, rather than just using a generic one of a similar tone across the board. I think that even though this is a tribute to the original Retro Future Camera, the introduction of this leather strap is a great update over the original that really helps it to capture the retro camera design aesthetic that it intended. So this review actually turned out to be quite a bit longer than I expected when I first received the watch. This is because I tend to be more of a tool watch kind of person, which is why I was particularly surprised that this ended up being my favorite model of the Revival series. You see, apart from the timer bezel, it really is just a simple 3-hand watch. But for some reason, I just really love this design. What's even more surprising about this is that I usually tend to go for the more conventional and cleaner dials, but for this one, I am absolutely making an exception. This watch is for the person who doesn't mind being different and having a story to tell others. It can be worn in both casual and smart casual settings, and it easily becomes a conversation piece. While many would call this watch an acquired taste, and I don't disagree, this is one taste that didn't take me all that long to acquire actually. And so that wraps things up for this review. If you liked it and would like to see more like it, please give me a like and subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next one.